was going to have a little bit of an awkward stance, and he was... He had a little bit of a cut stance and a little bit of a draw lie, and there you go. He kind of just went dead center perfect.
We're trying to attack this par 5 and 2. 8 under for the tournament.
Come on, baby, be right.
Oh, my goodness. And absolutely spot on right here for Thomas.
Be right, it is.
Get to 63rd.
Oh, stay on the green. Stay on the green. Go. Oh, nice shot.
It's okay now.
Trying to make a decent day of it. This would help a lot. It would help a whole lot.
Back into the wind from 150 yards for Justin. Go ahead.
Judge the bounce, get it released, use the slope of the green to push this ball towards the pin.
Now this looks well executed if it grabs. Oh my, what a shot.
All right. All righty, folks, we got Coach Stud here. I'm going to get to all your recording access here. We got a lot of hands raised, so we'll go one at a time. And if we got follow-ups, we'll get to those. But let's start it out with Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Stud, how are you?
Good.
The middle of your line is probably the biggest question mark. Can you kind of describe how that's shaking out so far? I know Harry's not doing the team stuff. Who's playing center primarily, and how do you look at those three spots?
I think it's going good so far. A lot of guys getting reps. Matt Jones and Luke are getting the majority of the reps at the center position right now, but Jacob James is getting some too as a young guy. So those three, all three of those guys are doing pretty well in there so far, handling things pretty good. And the guard spots, we got, again, a nice rotation in there. Paris and Josh Fryer's rotating in there. Jacoby, Trey LaRue. So we got some Jack Jamison, some guys that are rotating at the guard spot. So it's going pretty well so far.
It's good to hear your voices in midseason form.
All right, we'll go next to Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Hey, Stud, when you mentioned Josh Fryer, what is it about him that he's seemingly made a little bit of a jump here for you this spring?
Yeah, again, his athleticism is what excited me in recruiting. He was a basketball player. He's a guy that's 6'5", but he has the ability to bend and play really low. And those two things were the things that intrigued me about him when we first got him in recruiting. And it's only gotten better through training with Mick. And now he's getting stronger. He's got a little edge to him. And he's a guy that's got some grit. He's got some toughness. He shows up every day and he's learning and he's putting things together, but he's got some grit. And I like that. So that's what's kind of what's got him going.
All right, let's go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan?
Yeah, Greg, obviously Paris is making that move from, starting out at tackle to, playing guard right now. Just how do you think he's handled that transition, and what do you think can make him a successful guard?
Well, he is the same thing as Fryer. He is a kid that's very, very mentally tough. Both those kids are. And without that, first, you wouldn't be able to make that transition because there's a little bit of difference sometimes between tackles and guards as far as athleticism and finesse and toughness and grit. And both those guys have the ability to do that and go inside. And Paris is such a student of the game. I mean, he studies the game. He's in my office. Sometimes I got to kick him out because I'm sick and tired of seeing him, because he's in there every day wanting to know this and wanting to know that. How do I get an edge on this? So his attention to detail and his toughness and I want to play, coach, is why he's made the transition so smooth so far.
All righty, next up, we'll go to Brendan Gulick, BuckeyesNow and SI.
Hey, Stud, kind of a two-part question here. One, what's the one thing that you really hope you can accomplish here over the last 2 weeks of spring practice, or is this just continued reps and building chemistry? And two, how do you think this group is, handling the quarterback battle that seems to be neck and neck right now?
I don't think they have a clue about the quarterback battle. I think they're so focused on trying to get better. It's funny. I was just in the meeting writing this down. Of all the guys that we got that are here right now, there's 11 guys in my room that it's their first spring. 11 guys. And I just sat there. I was just talking to Jerry. I said, you think these guys are veterans and those things because they've been here, but they lost last spring. They lost last summer. They lost to camp. So they've lost a year of development. And here's 11 guys that I've got a certain expectation level about, which it's not going to change. It's going to stay there. But then I realized this is the first time that 11 of these dudes have gone through spring. So instead of getting ahead of myself, I'm just enjoying the fact that we've had 9 solid practices and we can go get some technique work and we can develop some toughness. Because until that foundation's built, you're not going to go on. You're not going to further and start talking about how we can do things and what you can do and those things until we build that foundation. And I've enjoyed it. I think they're buying in, but it's still 11 of those guys are still learning how to get this done, how to be mentally tough. Some are further along than others, but they're all developing through it. So That's going to be my focus till the end of this spring, is getting that foundation built in a lot of young guys, because the Thayers and the Knicks, they're coming along. They know how to do this. They know how this goes. They know what they need to work on to take them to an elite level. But it's those other 11 or 12 guys that need that foundation built, and that's what we're working on.
All right, let's go next to Doug Lamarice, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Stud, when you have two veteran tackles like Thayer and NPF and a great young tackle prospect like Paris, what was your decision-making process like in deciding that it would be Paris as the guy who would work at guard this spring? And did you give any consideration to maybe moving one of those tackles inside?
I absolutely did. And the reason I didn't was, again, right now, and again, it could change. I don't think it's gonna, but it was to keep those two guys. They were two of the best tackles in the country last year. They proved it. They're growing. They can help those guys inside, and to have two guys on the edge, like those two guys that can protect those young quarterbacks, that was really what I thought was going to be the best for us. And Paris's ability, his athleticism, his quickness with him and Fryer, because you forget, Fryer's a fantastic tackle too. So's Dewan. There's two more tackles that are can really be good tackles in my opinion. But those two kids' ability to bend, their quickness, their agility, allowed them to go into that guard spot without changing the edge protection for our young quarterbacks. So that was really one of the major factors.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, let's go next to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop.
Greg, regarding Harry, you're looking for your best five?
Yeah.
Safe to assume he's one of the best five, and will he be in the mix at center in the preseason?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question. I would assume he's going to be one of the best five. But again, these young guys are getting the reps and getting the work. But when the preseason comes, Harry's going right back into that mix, whether it be in center or whether it be a guard. But again, you're right. We're working on the best five, and I would assume he'd be one of them. But we'll see.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Stud, if I remember correctly, Harry didn't. He's one of those 11 who's going through technically his first full spring here. But if I remember correctly, you guys were doing FaceTime calls with him all throughout the spring and pretty much keeping him up to speed to the point that once he got here, he was good enough to be able to earn that number 2 center role. Donovan Jackson is also not here, and it's kind of a similar rated guy. Are you guys doing anything similar with him? And then also, when he gets here, can he start? Is he going to be in that mix?
Well, number one, yes, we are doing the same things. He's been in our meetings through the spring. He's got the manual. He's got the things. We've talked about drill tapes. We've watched drill tapes. And yes, he's going to have the opportunity to come in there and be one of the five just like anybody else does.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Greg, can you kind of give us an update on where DeJuan Jones stands right now and just what sort of role you expect from him this season?
He's really well. He's a little banged up right now, so I haven't had him for a couple of days here. But up until that point, he was really, really doing well. He was coming along. He's got his weight down to the best it's been in a long time. He's in good shape and really was playing well. So again, there's another guy that can allow you as he comes along and develops. And again, his first spring, as he continues to come along and he continues to develop. Number one, it gives you depth, but it also gives you an ability to play different guys at different places. So I was very pleased with how he was doing.
Do you expect him back?
Yes.
In the spring?
Yes.
All righty. Next up, Bill Landis, The Athletic.
Hey, Stud. A couple of years ago, I guess when Ryan really first took over, there seemed to be a pretty major emphasis on kind of restocking your room. Maybe, I don't know if improving the recruiting is the right way to put it or not, but just adding some more guys there and really building up that depth. And it seems like 2 years later, you've done that. And I know it's not complete and the job's never done, but just how do you feel about where your room is compared to where it was a couple of years ago?
Oh, I couldn't be more excited. I think you hit it on the head. Everything you said right there is correct. I know the state of the room, and you guys do too, what it was when I got here. For the first 2 years, I had 5 people. I stayed up at night because if somebody went down, I was like, oh boy, we better get the punt team ready. That was my feelings. And you're right, to have that depth back in the room now, And again, what you just said showed at Michigan State last year. We lose those guys the night before the game. We didn't lose those guys a week before the game. We lost those guys and a couple of those COVID guys right away. And for those kids to jump in there and play like that against a defense like that, that's a testament to what we've done. And that to me, those kids were ready to go. They knew through the whole COVID thing at any minute somebody was going to have to jump in there, but it wasn't tested and proven until that point. And when they jump in there, that gives all those guys in that room confidence that when my number's called, or how about if I just go challenge this guy? Thayer Mumford's pretty good, but how about if I go beat him out? And now that's in that room. So all the other guys now, when you go to practice, you better be at your best. Because if you're not, that guy's very well capable of doing the job as well. And that's what it should be. When you've got an offensive line room that has depth, and those things can happen and still instill confidence in everybody around them. So you're exactly right. That's a fact.
All right, let's go next to Dave Biddle, 247.
Hey, Greg, can you delve into just how much Matt Jones improved maybe from 2019 to 2020? Was he your most improved guy? And just, are you surprised with where he's at this point?
You're right. He is one of the most improved. I would absolutely say that. I think, with some guys learning and getting themselves prepared is as much a mental thing as it is a physical thing. And Matt is a guy that's always had the physical tools. He is so strong. He's quick. But eventually it gets to the point where, you know what, I'm tired of not being a starter. And a little light goes off, or whatever you want to call it. I don't have a right word for it, but I'm sick and tired of watching. And all of a sudden the demeanor in everything that you do, the attention to detail and everything that you do, the toughness, carrying out a drill, that's what Matt's done. He's hit that point where, you know what, this is it. And he showed it that Michigan State game, and then he showed it the next two games that he played. So his turnaround has been amazing. And yeah, I would definitely say he's one of those, and he's carried it over to this spring. He's really doing well. He got sick and missed a day or two with a flu bug, but since then the kid has been a different guy, and I'm really excited about where he's going.
Thank you. All right, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch.
Greg, question about Nick Petit Frere. I guess, where do you see him being able to make the biggest jump or improvement? This will be his second full year as a starting.
The thing that, yeah, you're right. And the thing that we're focusing on with Nick right now is his pad level. He's a tall guy, and for him to bend at times, it's a strain. So we've been working on his pad level and making him a more productive run blocker by getting him to bend. So we've worked a bunch of bending things. We've got his squat up, getting his legs more powerful so that he can become a more dominant run blocker. His pass blocking excelled. That was last year's focus, really, going into last season. Make him an elite pass protector. He's well on his way. His feet are done. He's doing those things there. But what we've got to do is we've got to make him an elite run blocker, not just a good run blocker. I would say that's where he was. He's got to become elite, and that's what we're focusing on now.
All righty, next up, Tim May from Leonard Monroe. Tim.
Thank you, Mike. Hey, Stud, by the way, what's it like to have a nickname Stud? That must be cool. But then past that, Thayer Mumford, can you describe him in a nutshell of why you think he now is elite and how far has he come in that regard?
I can't tell you how far he's come. It's unbelievable. He realized, I think, the whole thing goes back to that back surgery. If you want to trace it all the way back in the chronology of the thing, is he hurt that back and he missed 8 months of lifting, of developing, of everything. And he came back that next season and played, and he played pretty well, but he knew he wasn't playing at a level that he was proud of. Not only us, but a level that he thought he could play at. Coach, I'm so much better than that. Then he gets a year of training in the offseason. He's as strong as he's ever been. He's moving as quick as he's ever been at 320 pounds. And his attention to detail and technique totally has changed. And I think at the end of the season, when we sat down and talked about it, obviously the degree was important, but more so is, Coach, I haven't peaked yet, man. I can be better than this. And I think he realized that part of the reason that he came back was to attain that level of, I'm not just really good, I'm the best. And he's got a chance. He's got a chance to be the best tackle in the country. If he wants to focus on it and pick up where he left off last year and do those things, he's got a chance to be the best. And that's really what he's chasing. He's chasing the fact that he wants to be elite. He wants to be a first rounder. He wants to be the best in the game. And I think that's what's driving him. And it's really, really good.
Okay, next up, Jeremy Birmingham, Leonard Monroe.
Hey, Greg, with 11 guys that have never taken a spring snap, with a bunch of other veterans returning, how are you able to work in Ben Chrisman and Zen Mahalski this winter and spring to make it valuable for them as opposed to just kind of standing by watching?
Brilliant question. And the problem, the first week, they missed the whole first week due to sickness. So that puts us a little bit more behind the 8 ball. But the thing about those guys is the time that we get in the spring, Jeremy, with individual drills and segmented pod circuits against the defensive line, that's where they have to excel. And that's where they're getting most of their work right now. And the good thing is Coach Day will always rotate 3 groups in a team period to get them reps. It's less than the other guys, there's no doubt. But like you said, that's the development of those young kids in the drill situation. When we have time in individual, that's where they're getting a ton of their work right now, because their foundation obviously is behind those guys. To take a guy like that and throw him out in the team period and say, hey, here, go run all these plays that we have, block all these protections, their mind's swimming. So to put them in that situation is not productive. The foundation of technique and how to be tough and how to use your hands to block, that's where I am with those guys. And the good thing is in the springtime, we get the majority of time to do that with those guys.
All right, we'll do 2 more. First one to Patrick Murphy, 247. Patrick.
Hey, Greg, you talked about building that depth, but how big has versatility been in doing that? It seemed like last year you were able to put guys at different spots and not miss a beat. How important has their versatility been?
I can't tell you how important, because there's a lot of times that you'll go somewhere where, and this guy's a backup and that guy's a backup, this guy's that backup, meaning there's not a lot of versatility. But the fact that, like, you go back to having athletic guys and recruiting athletic guys that can play multiple positions. The Harry Millers, go back to Michael Jordan, go back to all the guys that have played multiple spots. The ability to still get your best 5. And if a guy goes down, who's the best 6? It might be a tackle that has to go to guard. It might be a backup guard that has to go to tackle if those guys aren't developed. So the ability to mix and match those guys because of, number 1, their athleticism and the ability to play both those positions. And number 2, what is their knowledge? Do they have a tremendous knowledge of both those spots, and can they handle going on the edge, or could they handle coming inside? And the fact that we have guys that are, I got a smart room. I got smart guys. They study so much, their attention to detail, especially for the young guys that are in there asking questions all the time and wanting to learn. They want to learn everything. And when you have guys that are like that, you can move those guys around and still come up with a cohesive unit, even if you have a couple injuries.
All right, and we'll wrap Coach Stud up today with Spencer Holbrook from Leonard Monroe.
Hey, Greg, what do you like most about Josh or about Luke Whippler, and what have you seen out of him that makes you think he can take another step forward?
I'll tell you, he was he's a tough Jersey guy. First of all, I love that about him. He's rugged. But the second of all, I'll tell you a story. The national championship game ends, and those kids had a chance to go home. And I'm home the next day, and Luke calls me, and he's in the indoor, and he's filming drills and sending them to me. It's not 24 hours since the game ended, and he's in the Woody doing drills, filming a drill and saying, Coach, take a look at this and critique me, man, because I want to work on this. And that's what I love. And that kid stayed here the entire time. Most guys went home for 2 weeks and saw their families, and I'm good, that's fine. This kid's in here doing that every single day. That's how important it is to him. And I sat in here and watched drills of him every day, and we watched film on Zoom, and we did things. I'm like, a guy that cares that much and is that dedicated and has the tools. He's got quickness. He's really good now at snapping the ball and stepping. He's got a rhythm now with the ability to do those things. And he studies the game. He knows every position. He knows all those things. And the time and effort that he puts into it is something I love. A guy that works that hard, you're going to be successful, period. And that's one of the things I love about the kid.
All righty, Coach. I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're efforting to round up a couple linemen for you. Obviously, on our list is Nick Petit Frere, Matt Jones, Luke Whippler, and there's a fourth one that I'm forgetting. But there's a we'll have a good selection of O linemen for you, and then we also I've rounded up some photos of these guys as well, and I'll send that out later on this afternoon with the link to the recording for this one. Still working on getting all your recording access and all that, but I'm recording as well, and we'll put that on box for you after we're done. All righty, folks. Let's lead this one off with Jeremy Birmingham from Letterman Row. Jeremy.
Hey Thayer, how has these few weeks of spring practice been for you? Just the opportunity. We talked to you at the start when you got back, but have you seen the jump that you wanted to see from yourself in these first few weeks?
I was on mute. I believe I have. There's a little things I still need to fix for myself. Is going against Zach Harrison, Tyree Smith, and Javante, all practice, of course. But also at the same time, though, it's like I'm working to get better, and I'm making them better as well. So I'm happy where I'm at, but I'm not really satisfied.
All right, let's go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Thayer, I'm curious to see, Paris is a guy who was working at tackle for you last year. Now he's working at guard. I'm just curious to see, how have you seen him develop here going into his second season at Ohio State?
His maturity level has been tremendous. Freshman year, everybody gets very antsy and stuff because it's Ohio State and you're playing here, of course. But now he has settled down into the guard role, of course, and also he's trying to help out his classmates and the guys under him as well, just to make sure that he's pushing them and he pushing me to actually keep getting better. Even though I might have my bad days, he might have bad days. We all pick each other up too. So it all works all the way around, from walk-ons to me.
All righty, we'll go next to Austin Ward from Letterman Row.
There, I don't think many of us were talking about Josh Fryer maybe being a guy to line up next to you with that starting unit, at least during the spring. Did that surprise you at all, his development, and what have you seen working alongside him?
Looking back at Josh Fryer from last year, practice and stuff, to this year. Last year, he was more of all right, I'm here, let's go get it, and now he's more mature, meaning that he likes to work, he likes the competition, and his work ethic has been good, and we all see it. I see it, Coach Stud sees it, the coach staff sees it too. He's like, we gonna have a good guard or a good guy, all around player. So I'm happy for him too.
All right, we'll go next to Tim May from Letterman Row. Tim.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Thayer, I asked Coach Stud about you a while ago, and he basically, I don't know if he told you this, but he basically said you have the potential to be perhaps the best tackle in the country this year. That was part of what you guys talked about when you opted to come back. And do you see that in you? And, what do you see that you finally need to add to your arsenal to get over the top, so to speak?
Well, I do believe I will be the best tackle that's coming out of next year's draft, of course. But, I just believe that if you keep working at it, you're going to get there, But I'm happy that he said it, but also I'm not really satisfied from where I'm at right now. So yeah, like I said before, I appreciate him for saying that, but at the same time, I got to keep building myself and my mental state as well, and my technique too.
All right, next up, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Dave, can you give us some insight what you've seen from Matt Jones over the past year, and do you see him as being so talented that he could still be a starting guard or starting center, either one, going into the fall?
He could be either one. To be honest, it's just his work ethic has to get. He's going to get better. I know that for sure. He might have he didn't have his first 2 years here. He didn't have that great of career here at first, but his mental state has been a lot better, and I'm proud of him for actually achieving his goals.
All righty, we got 3 more O-linemen waiting for you, so we're going to have this be the last question for Thayer, and then we're going to go to Luke Weichler. Next up is Patrick Murphy. Patrick.
Thayer, you talked to us about wanting to be a leader this spring and stepping up. How have you done that now? What are you, 8, 9 practices in? Give us some examples of how you've become more of a leader for this team.
Leader by example, and also leader just to help them out, of course, because, they might not get how Coach Stud coaches and stuff, but also at the same time, though, I'm there to actually help them out. You know what I mean? And I love doing that thing. Like sometimes the young guys come up to ask me like, how can I do this? How can I get better at this? I just give them my advice and they work at it, And it's young guys young guys under me right now is going to be great leaders in the near future too, But I'm there just to help everybody else and have everybody else on the same page for how practice is going to go and how our O-line unit is going to go as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Thayer. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, folks, say hello to Luke Weipler. And we'll start out, Luke, with Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Luke. Stud was talking about how the day after the national championship game, you were already back in the Woody, going through drills, sending him film. Just kind of what compelled you to do that, to want to get back to work right away? I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Well, after the national championship game, obviously there was a really sour taste in everyone's mouth. I mean, that was a tough loss and a tough pill to swallow. And for me, I know what I'm up against this year, and with the Josh Myers obviously leaving for the NFL draft and Wyatt Davis leaving for the NFL draft, there's 2 open jobs on the O-line, and I want to make sure that I put myself in the best position to be in the best shape and be working on my tools and everything that I can personally do to be the best player I can be.
All right, let's go next to Tim Hall from 97.1. Tim.
Hey, Luke, I'm wondering, we've heard it throughout the course of time, how guys from New Jersey, whether it's guards in basketball or college football players, there's a certain type of toughness. And Stud was saying you possess the same thing. I was wondering where that comes from, and would you be a Long Island guy or a Jersey Shore guy for the beach when you're back home?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the stereotype you hear a lot, is that Jersey tough. And I feel a lot of that comes from like kind of how I was raised personally, my parents being hard workers and showing me what it was like to work hard and work for things you want. Things are never handed to you in life. Everything that you want, you have to work for and strive hard to achieve. For me, I mean, I try to own that mentality as best as I can, and every day put hard work in and stack days up against each other. And after that, you'll get a nice payout. That's kind of how I like to look at things. And also, I'm a Jersey Shore guy all the way through, Long Beach Island.
Okay, next up, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Luke. Can you just kind of describe the competition at the middle spots, the guard and the center spots, and how intense it is, and how determined you guys are to make sure that you're at the level of the tackles?
I think for us, I mean, our tackles set a great example of what it's like to be an impact player and be great at your craft. With Nick on one side and Thayer on the other, they're a prime example of what everyone in the room is striving to be. So for having them as the pillars, I think inside the competition is going great. I mean, I think all of us came here to compete. I mean, I think that's one of the main things of recruiting here is you hear a lot is iron sharpens iron. And for all of us, I think every day we come in with the mindset that even though we're competing, we're all still trying to get better with each other. We're all trying to help each other out. If I have a question, I can ask Matt Jones. If Matt has a question, he can ask me, and we can all kind of bounce it off each other to get better every single day. And I think a lot of that too has to do with the D-line, the best D-line in the country, in my opinion. Week in and week out, seeing them every day really helps.
Thank you.
All right, let's go next to Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row. Spencer.
Luke, where have you seen the biggest jump for yourself from last season to this season? Because there's only 4 months ago, I guess, that you guys played in the national championship game. What is it like to make the jump in 4 months, and where have you made that big jump?
For me, I think it's just really getting comfortable in the offense and gaining my strength and my athleticism in the weight room. I think Coach Mick and his staff this offseason, I really bought into the strength program. I mean, last year I was here the full winter, and then we got cut short and had to get sent home for coronavirus. But I mean, this year having a full spring and really being able to develop properly and getting stronger, faster, quicker, all those important things have really helped me so far this spring on the field. And also, too, having this offseason kind of know the offense and be a little more advanced and learning maybe more of the calls and learning my part in doing so as the center has really helped.
All right, next up, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Luke, your coaches sometimes talk about tackles and guards being able to move around as if they're really interchangeable. I'm skeptical of that somewhat. Considering that, can you kind of give me your assessment of what you've seen from Paris Johnson as he's tried to make that transition this spring, not just to being someone who could play guard, but someone who could be a starting guard in the Big Ten?
For me, I mean, I think that transition is a hard transition. I mean, it's easy to say, oh yeah, guard can play tackle can play guard. But for Paris, I think he's making a seamless transition from the tackle spot to the guard spot. He's been having a great spring so far, kind of learning the new position and the nuances of it. And he's, I think, going to have a great rest of spring and then into fall camp into the season.
Why do you think he's been able to do it so seamlessly?
I think he's just a great athlete. He understands football and he's just a violent player, honestly. He comes with every play trying to bring violence to the field. And I feel like when you have that mindset, you can play any position. It doesn't really matter if it's linebacker, guard, or safety. So.
All righty. This will be the last question for Luke because we have Paris Johnson ready for you. So we'll go to Austin Ward. Austin.
Luke, what's the balance when we know the brotherhood of the unit and obviously Harry being hurt doesn't feel good for for all of you, but that gives you an opportunity to get some key reps and build the spring. What's the mentality when something like that happens and opens up that door for you?
I think the mentality in the facility as a whole is like next man up. I mean, you saw it this year with coronavirus, guys going down every week. You never know who's really going to be able to play Saturday. I mean, guys can pop up a test on Friday and not be able to play the next day. So all year this year, it was really the next man up mentality. So carrying out the spring, I mean, one guy goes down, another guy has to step up and perform. And it's kind of the same deal. When your number gets called on, your name gets called on, you have to be able to go in and get the job done and perform at a high level.
All righty, Luke, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Have a good day, everyone. And up next will be Paris Johnson. All right, Paris, thank you very much for spending a little time with us. Let's start it out with Doug Lamarice, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Paris, when you decided to come to Ohio State and you saw, the depth chart and where guys were, did you have in your head at all that you would have maybe a pretty good chance to be a starting tackle as a sophomore? And how does it feel now when you have, two really veteran guys ahead of you and it feels like you're maybe in line for a position switch for this year?
Yes. When I first was recruited here, I took a look at the depth chart and I sort of made some assumptions. And I saw that, that by my sophomore year, there would be a spot at tackle. But with everything that's happened, I'm more than happy to play guard, because Coach Day said he wanted to have the best 5 people play, and he saw a fit with me at being at guard, and I'm more than happy to play, that position.
Thank you, Paris.
And let's go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch.
Paris, what has the adjustment been like? What's been the biggest thing you've had to learn switching from tackle, which I'm assuming you played your whole life, to guard?
I think the biggest thing is I feel like when you're a tackle, you're usually on an island. So you're working by yourself, or you might have some help from your guard, depending on, where the ball is cutting, but a lot of the times you're by yourself. So now at guard, you're always helping your center. You're always helping your tackle. So I feel like it's sort of switching a mindset. You can't have a tackle mindset at guard, but I've learned to take, I would say, the abilities that I've learned at tackle as far as being able to read linebackers and safeties and corners. I've tried to utilize that at guard. So I'm able to see the bigger picture. So I would say that's definitely helped.
Thank you.
All righty, next up, let's go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Paris, obviously you got a little bit of playing time in the college ball playoff last year at guard. How valuable were those reps to you in preparing you to now compete for a starting guard spot?
Those reps were really valuable. I would say in those moments, I was just really excited to be out there and play. And I would say it allowed me to really, I felt like in those moments of me being in guard in the playoffs, they really allowed me to get a taste of the action, from a different position I guess I wasn't really expecting, So me jumping in there and doing it and being able to do it, like it was really exciting. So it made me like look forward to, if that's where the team needs me to be at this season, I know I'm able to do it because I've shown that I'm able to do that job.
Had you been practicing at guard at that point?
Okay, can you repeat that?
Had you been practicing at guard at that point?
Yes, I did practice at guard. I split time during those couple of weeks. I guess the week and a half, like before those games, I split reps between tackle and guard, going back and forth, depending on like the series.
All righty, next up, Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop.
How difficult is it to say you're a left tackle, but then you go play right guard? How difficult is it to learn the hands and just going from left-handed to right-handed for you?
I would say being able to switch from left guard to right guard seems pretty seamless. I feel like because if anything, you're just flipping the protection or the call in your head. And then since you have your hand down, I feel like the balance and the stance is relatively the same. That's why I feel like it's pretty easy to go from left to right in terms of guard. I feel like a tackle is different for sure, but I feel like for guard, it's the same. So I feel like it wasn't that bad.
All righty, let's go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Yeah, Pierce, kind of going back to the question Doug asked you, but we talked to Thayer a while back in the spring, and he said that he had been kind of talking to you while he was going through that decision-making process, that sort of stay or go process. What kind of feedback did you give him when he was kind of talking about that or asking you questions about it? And was it hard to kind of maybe set aside your own thoughts of where you wanted your career to be at this point while he's talking about, hey, I might be coming back and playing that spot that you kind of had your eye on?
I feel like that just speaks on the brotherhood that, that goes on here, because obviously like Thayer knew, where my mindset was at. But I feel like, for him to come to me and he kept it real with me and he was telling me his thoughts on coming back, and he asked me, what were my thoughts on it? And, and I was telling him, I was like, at the end of the day, most important thing is, and which we agreed on, which he brought up was, him getting his degree and then being able to go the highest that you can when you leave this place, to maximize that opportunity. And we agree, for me personally, I told him just to pray on it and go and do what, where he felt peace. And then that should be the decision. He said he felt peaceful coming back. So I told him, you shouldn't go against that feeling. So I was all for it. He felt excited about it. He had peace about coming back and, having a great season. So I was excited about it.
All righty, we'll do two more because we got Nick Petit-Frere waiting for you. First one to Bill Landis. Bill.
Hey, Paris. So along those lines, I guess, you guys come to Ohio State to do a lot of things. One of those things is to go off to the NFL and get drafted as high as you can. And I think we all know that tackles make more money than guards and get drafted higher. Did that enter your mind at all when you were entertaining the idea of possibly moving to guard, about what it could mean for your future? Or are you just confident that, you play a guard and then eventually you get to tackle and it can all still kind of happen for you?
So right now, I feel like the the biggest opportunity that I have at starting in guard is that I get to show versatility. And I feel like that adds a lot of value. And I feel like next season I'll have a lot of opportunity to play at tackle. But right now it shows that I have the versatility. And I feel like the biggest thing now, I'm not draft eligible after the season. So my biggest thing this season and next season is what does the team need, so we can get to where we want to be at. Because I feel like, because like when you're in, like when you play professional football, you can't just, unless you're a veteran guy, you can't just be, I'm just a left tackle. I'm just a right tackle. If somebody goes down, you're going to need to be able to play tackle and guard, left and right in the league with the amount of people that travel. So I feel like, if anything, this is just preparation to be able to just move around and be flexible. And I feel like the league would appreciate that when it's time. So.
All righty, and last question for Paris. We'll go to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Paris, I was just wondering, of the veteran guys that are in your room, who's had the biggest impact on you, and what that's been like for you here this spring?
I would definitely say Nick Petit, for sure, has definitely had the biggest impact on me this spring. Because, with me and him playing next to each other, just building that relationship and like building that, that bond on the field. Because, that's what he had with Wyatt Davis last season. And then as you get to play that guard and tackle combination, you start to get a feel for like how you both play. And I feel like we've definitely been building that this spring. So each practice, we've definitely we've gotten to learn how we both play and to complement each other's abilities. So I've definitely said that time that I've spent with him has definitely been beneficial.
Awesome. Paris, thank you very, very much for your time. And we appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hello, guys. Happy belated Easter.
Nick Petit Frere here for you. Thanks, Nick, for spending a little time with us. We'll lead it off with Austin Ward. Austin, go ahead.
Hey, Nick, happy Easter to you. Now that you aren't having to do pull-ups off the side of the house and you got maybe some normal off-season with Mick, what have you done to your body this off-season? And then Coach Stud was talking a little bit maybe about the way that you're bending. And so what's the physical overhaul been like over the last couple of months?
It's just been a great time being able to be back in the facility during spring and during winter workouts, because this is like one of our biggest times in terms of developing a team and creating like a great group of guys and a great group of athletes. So it's been an awesome time me getting a chance to work out with Coach Mick and all our other coaches. And this has been a big overhaul of just getting stronger and faster and just doing all the things we can do to strengthen my body and all of our bodies so that we can be the best for when we got to spring ball and then for us to get into the fall. So, but yeah, like we've done a lot of workouts and a lot of things of that nature of us just building our team. And it's been a very good spring, very good winter workout for me, workout time for me in terms of Coach Mick and Coach Stud, from what I've heard from them.
Okay, let's go next to Doug Limerice, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Nick, with you and Thayer being two of the best returning tackles in the country and Paris being one of the best young tackle prospects in the country, how did you think it might shake out with who might be asked to move to guard? And did you think there was any chance that it would be one of, you Thayer as one of the veterans who they might say, hey, maybe we'll try Paris at tackle and move you guys inside? Just what did you think might happen?
We were prepared for anything. We have to know the whole offensive line, whether or not we play tackle, guard, or center primarily. So it's not like we wouldn't be able to know the position from another standpoint. But in terms of how that would shake out, at the end of the day, we just want to play the best 5 linemen we got, you know? So if we have 5 great tackles, then someone's got to learn how to snap the ball. Or if we have 5 great guards, then like someone learn how to play tackle. It's just, at the end of the day, we want to play the best 5 guys we got and create a great group of a first team and second team guys that can go out, and if something were to happen, we have another guy to step in. That's something I feel like we had last year. We just had a great talented group of guys that every single person from the 1s all the way to the 2s, and even some guys that weren't even traveling with us that were ready to step up and play at a moment's notice no matter what.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, next up, Bill Rabinowitz from the Dispatch. Bill.
Hi, Nick. Probably the biggest question about the offensive line is the middle of it. Tell me how you think it's shaking out. Tell me what who stood out to you. I'm not asking you to predict who's going to start, but what are your impressions of those guys competing?
I've been really impressed with the middle of our offensive line. Like, a lot of people have questions about the offensive line every single year. It's like, oh, how are the tackles going to do, or how are the middle of the line going to do? And every year, it's always our job for us to go and just prove people wrong. Every single one of those guys have been doing really well. Josh Fryers had a great spring ball. Matt Jones been doing well. Luke's been having a great spring ball, playing a little bit of center. And Paris as well has also had a great time playing as well. So all these guys have shown a lot of great skill and a lot of intuition about the position they're playing and about how to be an offensive lineman. So it's been very impressive watching all those guys roll and have a great spring.
Thank you.
All righty, next up, Patrick Murphy, 247. Patrick.
Nick, we were just talking to Paris, and he said that you were the guy who's impacted him the most this spring. What have you done to kind of work with him? I know he's playing next to you right now. So what have you done to kind of provide that impact on him?
Well, I think he probably looks at me as just like an older guy, like someone to look up to. Because me and him were competing for the spot last year, and through competition, we make each other better. Iron sharpens iron. So we would always communicate and stuff like that. And now with me and him playing together, now he's kind of looked towards me about well, how did you and Wyatt maybe do this? And although I would tell him yeah, me and Wyatt did this, me and Wyatt did that. Now it's me and him. It's about what we can do together. So that's the big important thing that I've kind of instilled to him, that it's his story. It's his time for him to show what he can do and to be the player that he can be, that we all know he can be. So it's been more about just him growing and developing as a player, and along with me just still developing as a player, but also being a guy that's been here before, that's seen it before, and that can give him just a little bit of encouragement or guidance in terms of anything he needs.
All righty, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman from the Dispatch. Joey.
Nick, you were draft eligible after last fall. Did you give any thought to the idea of declaring, or and if not, why'd you feel comfortable staying and all that?
I gave a little bit of thought to it, but I felt comfortable coming back for another year because I felt like I had a lot more to prove. I had a lot more for me to show on the field, and I wanted another opportunity to have another great winter, to have another good summer, good spring, and another chance for me to come out and play with these guys and possibly get a chance for us to win a national championship and get back on that field,
All righty, let's go next to Jeremy Birmingham from Leonard Monroe. Jeremy.
Nick, for you and Ferris, you were both the top-ranked tackle in the country coming out of high school. You were each, had all these high expectations. It took you 3 years to get on the field as a starter. Here's Paris now as a sophomore who's playing a different position. Do you guys have the ability to sort of share some of the struggles that you've had to get through to get to where you are, and has that helped keep you guys closer?
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone's journey here is different. Some people's journeys start as soon as their freshman year and that they just start rolling, and some people it takes them 4, maybe even 5 years for them to go. Everyone's journey is different, but through that, struggles and tribulations that we had to go through come the growth and development of not only a player, but more importantly, a person. So that's kind of was the big thing that me and Paris would probably talk about, and what we would share. We would talk about the growth of ourselves, not only as a player, but about the person. I'm way different than I was, let alone my sophomore year. I'm way different than what I was my freshman year or coming out of high school. I'm a completely different person in terms of how I approach things, my mentality about things, and it's about the growth that me and him both have had over our times here that we kind of bond over.
Does him being a journalist now make you guys a little wary about him?
No, he's really good at writing. Like I actually read some of his stuff one day in the car when he was driving me home, and he's really impressive in terms of how he's able to articulate himself and how he's able for him to write. So I was really impressed with him. 'Cause I never knew that about him, that he wanted to be a journalist and stuff like that. That's just like another thing that we just communicated through time and just being together and playing next to each other and just growing that bond. So I think I have no worries about him. I think he's going to do great journalism, and I think he's going to have a great time with that.
All right, next up, we'll go to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop.
Telling us about how all of these guys have come so far. I don't think anybody has come farther than you have from your freshman year till. So what's it like being where you are now, and you feel so comfortable? Just describe that journey from then till now, I guess succinctly.
I mean, coming in as a freshman, this was probably one of the most competitive places I've ever seen or I've ever been a part of. So that would probably be the first thing I would talk about, just like the competitive nature and the strive for excellence that every single player and coach and even our just like staff has in terms of trying to be the best at whatever they can do. That was the first thing that just like struck out to me. And then through that growth came a lot of trials and tribulations of like me trying to gain my weight and trying to learn the offense, trying to feel comfortable with the team. And then, you know, it took me some time. It took me time for me to find my groove and find my rhythm and find how comfortable I was. Like I felt like I got there a little bit during my sophomore year. And then you never know what you don't know. That's what we say a lot here. Like you don't know what you don't know. So when my junior year came up, and then I got into a whole new level of feeling comfortable. Like I thought that my sophomore year, like, oh, this is probably the most comfortable I'll ever be. Like I feel great. And then one more year comes around and I feel even more like tight with the team. I feel more tight with what I'm doing and everything of that nature. So just the constant like growth of feeling more comfortable with the team and then not knowing what you don't know and then just going through different challenges and different struggles and then coming out of that better as not only as a man but also as a football player are kind of what I would say about like that whole like journey.
All righty, we'll do three more. We'll start with Nathan Baird. Nathan.
Yeah, my question maybe is kind of a natural follow-up to that, but you talked about kind of this journey you're on, and then last year to have a season where you didn't just sort of like hold your own, you really broke through. Like by all accounts, everyone thought you had a fantastic season. How does that change just as an athlete? Did you feel a change in your attitude or your mentality off of that? I mean, do you come in with a different mindset to what you can accomplish this year?
In some areas, like obviously like the main goal is for me to improve on what I did from the season before. Like I'm not going to just forget about what I've done. I'm going to make sure that like what I've done is to try to improve on the things that I've done and not just to stay the same, but to be even better. So that's like the main goal. But in my own mentality, it's really about just do what I've been doing. Work hard, train hard, eat right, practice hard, play with a lot of effort, do all the things that got me to that point to begin with. Like nothing should change just because, I played a year or, I've been here before. Like, no, like the same mentality, the same drive, the same work ethic has to stay the same, but I have to improve while doing that.
All righty, next up, Dan Hope, Lemon Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Nick, Thayer was saying how he wants to be the best tackle in the country this year. Have you seen anything different from him as he goes into this season?
He has a lot of confidence about himself. He has a lot of confidence, a lot of effort, and a lot of determination. And he had a great sprint, a great winner in terms of working out, you know? So he's showing what he wants to do. And like, he's been working out, doing a lot of film work and doing all the things necessary to achieve that goal.
All righty, and final question for today, we'll go to Tim May from Leonard Monroe. Tim.
Thank you, Mike. Hey, Nick, I was just wondering, do you and Thayer feel like those corner posts on a good fence right now? I mean, what is that sense like as you guys go through your workouts every day with these other younger guys sort of coming along, and just what's your sense of where y'all are from a progress standpoint in the spring with this offensive line?
I feel like we've made some good progress, especially from our first days here as offensive line. we got a good group of guys, and we're developing each and every one of us, and we're creating that edge that we need to have as offensive linemen. We're also creating that sort of discipline and work ethic that also takes for us to be offensive linemen, for us to keep the same consistency that we've had over the past 3 years I've been here and for the years prior to that. So I know me and Thayer are both just looking at it from the perspective of like, we're the older guys in the room. We have a responsibility not only to lead and inspire people around us, but also to create and foster like a sense of like determination and growth within our own like unit ourselves.
Yeah, who is one guy that's really made strides that people don't know about yet? This on that offensive line.
I mean, it's tough for me to pick one. Like I already told you about like Josh and Eric and Luke, but all them. But I mean, all three of those guys and Matt Jones, like all three of those guys, they made a lot of strides in terms of, you know, putting in the time, extra time and film work to get the football IQ. Because that's something that not a lot of people really talk about. It's just like that natural intelligence that like when something goes wrong or when something kind of changes, to be able to go on the fly and make it work, or being able to understand film study, understand the things that they need to see. I would say that Josh Fryer and Matt Jones are really good in that department. I would say Luke's really good at being able to have that football IQ as well, and being able to make things work on the fly and just be able to make small changes here and there to help himself. And then with Paris, I mean, his just toughness and aggressiveness have just been something of like just amazing to watch. You know, he's always had that aggression coming out of high school, his first year here, and it's just showing on the field now. Like everyone talks about it.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, Nick. Really appreciate it today.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for spending your time with us. We will talk to you on Friday with defensive linemen and have a bit of good news as well. We're efforting to get you some more time out of practice next week. So we'll be in touch with some more of those details. But we just enjoyed having you so much that they just said, please bring them back. So that's what we're gonna work on doing.
We're
Thanks,
fun
Mike.
to be around, Mike.
What's that?
We're fun to be around.
Exactly. Yeah, you all have good jokes, and you behaved yourself, and you did what we asked you to do, and as a result of that, we're just gonna give you even more access. So, good job, everyone.
Are you just talking about the spring game?
What's that?
Are you just talking about the spring game?
We'll be in touch. No. This is bonus coverage in addition to the spring game. So the other thing I just thought of in terms of bonus coverage is some photos for you. Like I said, I'll email those out to you this afternoon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mike.
See ya.